before I start, I'll go a little bit and tell you where I come from. So I'm not from the world of logistics. I got into logistics by accident. I have no training on logistics prior to that, so I don't know very much about pallet networks and freight and containers. What I will speak about today, though, is a lot about technology, which is something that's been mentioned, and about adding value, not offering commodity freight service, but trying to add value to a service that people are willing to pay that bit more for. And a lot of the things, perhaps from my perspective, or our company's perspective, are changes to the logistics market that maybe aren't easy for the logistics market to make. We see the logistics market as actually quite ingrained in maybe older systems, and actually moving forward I think it's going to be a big change, but one that will happen and will need to happen to really cater for the e-commerce market. And again, the need to look outside of the technologies already in logistics. A lot of people buying in systems that are part of logistics, but actually we need to look outside to the e-commerce world and actually look at what technology is the e-commerce world using. What can we learn from other markets in the technology that we use? So, to explain a little bit about us, I started work after leaving uni for a small local company who were selling online, and they had a fulfillment company which wasn't very good. They used to duplicate orders a lot, send stuff out twice, run around with bits of paper, and it was all a bit of a mess. And we just said, look, we're just going to find another company that can do it better. What could be easier? And what we found, actually, was a large array of antiquated and legacy systems in use by some very big companies. People were talking about real time where they updated it every hour. That's not real time. That's an hour behind. And if you're selling online and someone buys something and you sold the last one 45 minutes ago, you've now got a customer service issue. So that's not really good enough in the world where you pay online with a credit card, your payment goes through while you wait. You don't wait for an hour and then email you to say whether or not it worked and whether you have to go back. So, that's the kind of technology where consumers now expect that kind of real time. And there's reliance, again, which is part of the issue on local service, having data locally in buildings, in warehouses, and pushing data around EDI and all the rest of it. Again, that's not how e-commerce works. E-commerce is all on the cloud, it's all on the web, and it's talking to the second between services. And until you get that level of interactivity, it's quite hard to really converse in the same way that shops and everything else converses. And I guess that came to the other thing we found in the market, was that logistics companies aren't necessarily technology companies, they are logistics companies, and they're buying in systems. And a lot of development and developers who build logistics systems, strangely, those developers are just IT developers. They never worked in a warehouse, they don't know what's involved in taking a pallet and moving it, and so the systems they build are built to a specification written by somebody else. So there's a step removed from really understanding what's required to make a really slick system. And quite often they're restricted by building it onto a platform, which means that they can't build exactly what's required necessarily. They build something that's the best fit as far as they know from what they've built before. And if we compare this to what customers expect on the internet, if you go to Amazon.com, Amazon moved the button, the Buy It Now button, they move it just slightly and they test it again to see what works, what makes people have that really amazing experience that makes them want to buy and buy again. How many warehouse systems do you know where they move the next button on the handheld computer to see what makes it a split second faster? How many of them reiterate and release every day a new update to the system to make sure it's better than it was yesterday? Most of these systems, we're looking at a 5-year time. Amazon.com changes daily. They update software releases weekly. But software systems in warehouses, they're being updated annually at best, and that's a long way behind. So I guess there's a lot really we see the logistics market going into the e-commerce field of learning this kind of very fast, very reactive technology that goes forward. So we decided we'd do it ourselves, perhaps naively. We would just, how hard could it be? How hard could it be to set up a warehouse and run a logistics center with no prior knowledge? And, sorry, I've gone, that's right, sorry. To some extent, I guess it was better in a way because we had no preconception, we didn't know what to expect, so we built what we wanted to see, not what we needed. So our company, very brief overview, we've doubled or tripled turnover every year for the last 5 years. We're seeing a lot of international orders. We'll come on to the other topic of this, or the main topic of this talk. Just last Thursday, while I was putting this presentation together, I actually had a quick look and found out that day we shipped 44.6% of everything we processed in the warehouse outside of the UK. That's an enormous number, considering how many UK companies we work with and UK customers there are, 45% of what we did didn't stay in the country. And this year, despite the fact we've only been running for 5 years and a really very small company, we opened a US fulfillment centre. And a lot of people think, well, that's a bit weird. The market in the UK is huge. Why would you bother going overseas? So we'll come to that. So what I want to look at is what is driving this? How are we, a small startup with no experience in the market, how are we seeing such growth? Why is it we're shipping so much internationally? And why is it are we moving internationally already, even though we're so small and so tiny that there's a huge potential for growth in the UK without even bothering with what is hassle going overseas? So you know the background to this, so I'll go over it quickly. So e-commerce is the fastest growing retail market in Europe, and it's one of the fastest worldwide. Some quick statistics up there from the web, but you're looking 15 to 20% increase globally for people buying online, and nearly 1 in 5 non-food purchases now are made online. So there's a lot of business going online now. And perhaps this is where it really comes up, is that anyone can set up an online store now. You know, anyone in this building could set up an online store probably in 5 minutes while they're sat here listening to this, if it's not interesting enough. But the bigger difference is not just anyone can set up an online store, but that anyone can buy from your store anywhere in the world, and it's quite hard to stop them. It's quite hard to set up a UK store and expect only UK customers. People from all around the world keep buying things. You can't stop them. Another quick statistic there, 48% of online shoppers bought from overseas. So we're already used to buying from overseas. And the issue really for that is that people keep buying from overseas, which means you've got to now service it. You've now got to try and service this international trade, which you can't easily stop. And there's lots of reasons why this international thing is taking off. You look at traditional trade. A lot of companies, big manufacturing companies, UK, international is something they do later in the company life, and that's simply because there's quite a lot of expertise. There's a lot of issues with it. So we look at, you have to issue pro formas, there's exchange currency risk, there's language barriers, payment issues, freight clearance, importation, all of the specialities that you will help people with, but they're barriers to small companies. Online, it's different. The barriers are removed. You put an item in a jiffy bag, you write what it is and put a price on, and you stick it in the post. It just gets there. It's a lot easier. You find that people have confidence in online payments. You just pay with a credit card, and they've already got the cash. They don't have to worry about FX movements. They don't have to worry about problems taking that money. And the postal service has improved from what it used to be years ago. You can post something pretty much from one side of the world to the other side of the world, and it gets there within a week, depending which country it is. But most of the time it gets there quite quick. And there's a lot of growth of marketplaces. This is something we've seen a lot in the last sort of 1 to 2 years now. You've got Amazon, obviously, and eBay, but there's a lot more niche marketplaces, specialist furniture companies, specialist perfumeries and things, which it's not a single shop, it's a conglomeration of shops, which means people can advertise overseas and sell overseas with no investment or marketing. They just sign up to a platform and then they can sell. So it's now easy to get international customers. The problem is it's not so easy to serve them really well. So we can ship stuff very easily, but it's difficult to offer great service. We have a few issues. International tracking, it isn't perfect. The Royal Mail in this country offer a new international tracked service, and it's great because it's tracked all the way through to the port. It leaves the UK where it currently says your product has left the UK, and then you get proof it got delivered. It's not really tracked, is it? It's kind of that bit where it disappears for a week and then it pops up at the end. Customers don't like that. Increased delivery times. We worked with a carrier I won't name who were shipping from the UK to Ireland, and they managed to add 4 days because it went via Holland. Don't know why, it just did. And that, again, it's not what customers expect. They want to buy it today and have it, not necessarily tomorrow, there's a lot of talk about that, but they want to have it soon. And if you want to wait a week for it to go from one island to the island next door, that's not good enough. Delivery costs are high. A lot of talk about free delivery. If you're offering free delivery worldwide on dishwashers, that's obviously going to present you with a few problems on that one. And duty. The idea that a customer buys something, they pay the postage, they paid everything, it's all done, and then they get a bill when they go to pick it up. That's something that doesn't go down well, should we say. So what can we do as a logistics market? How can we help this? And I think one of the first things here is to look at who are we serving? Who are the customers of e-commerce? Who are the retailers that we're looking to provide? Because there's a big difference between them and perhaps the traditional companies that everyone here is used to serving, the big shippers of high volume. So online retailers are not the same as traditional retailers. There's many big businesses in online retail, but they have very small payrolls. They're generally really high turnover, but very, very low staffed. And that's because they're tech companies and marketing specialists. They're not logistics companies. They don't have special logisticians and people within the company. They are purely there good at marketing. And that's how they got onto it, because they're good at e-commerce. And so what they're really looking for is to outsource the delivery, not to employ lots of in-house specialists. They're uneducated buyers. We get people come to us sometimes saying, I've got this product, and we're already selling hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. How do I ship it? And you say, oh, it's easy, you do this, 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 and go, oh, what's a barcode? How do I get one of those? And you think, okay, these aren't the supermarkets, these aren't large retailers that know exactly what they're doing. These people know nothing about logistics. All they do know is how to market a product and how to stick it on the web. And that's a different type of person to what we've been dealing with for the last 30, 40 years. So the role of logistics, what are we doing to do this? So we're no longer warehouse specialists. We actually outsource our warehousing to another company because we're not specialists, we're a tech company. So what we offer is a full technology solution which integrates with web technologies. So everything we do is online, cloud-based, it's real-time, actually real-time, where anyone in the world, whether you're in a call center, whether you're in the warehouse, whether you're in our customer service desks, or whether you're on the other side of the world, you can see the same data. It's literally the same number at the same database. And we look to do that because it means customers can come to us, get a solution quickly that works, and they don't have to worry about all the other problems. We value add solutions. So we have two systems. We have Controlport, which is what our clients, the retailer sees. And in that, we offer features, the real-time nature, but the ability to access information and change it. So for instance, if somebody puts an order in and we picked it, and then the customer decides they want to change the address, you don't have to have a phone call from the customer to the retailer to the warehouse, and an endless chain of phone calls backwards and forwards. Why not just let the customer log in, change the address on the order, even though it's picked, and just save it, and when we come to label it, we're just putting the label out? Why not? We've got the information. If it's actually real time, we can see whether or not it's labeled in the warehouse. We can do that kind of work, because you can actually get information. And access to information, as people say, is the largest thing, but it does have to be very good, clear data access. The next step we did was Viewport, which is the same online real-time tracking, but the customer gets it. So rather than you getting a tracking link as your item shipped out of the warehouse, you get the tracking link when you buy it, which means you can track it around the warehouse, see when it's picked, see when you can change the address, see when it's shipped, know what's going to happen, which really, then the time thing, oh, do I need it next day? No, you just know where it is. And that's what you said, I think John Lewis was saying that the most important thing is customers know where it is, not where it is. And the last thing is the worldwide coverage. People don't want to have a specialization or a manager for every country. They want to sell online on one shop, and they want one solution that serves the world to provide them with a shipping solution for it. And that was the reason, really, we went to the US, because we had a huge demand from people who said, I've got this product, I'm shipping 30% to the US, how do I get it cheaper? I don't want to have to find another center, I don't want to have to do this, how can we manage it? And having all the data in one place through one information system where it gets delivered is the solution that we saw, which is why we went there. So I hope that's given you some views on property, an unconventional view, a very tech company, I hope, looking at how e-commerce can really integrate with logistics and how we can bring logistics forward into the world of e-commerce. Thank you.